Oh, hey! I didn't see you there. Have you been working on a project car since 2012 and all of a sudden a giant truck hits you? Don't you worry. The Sargent Insurance has a solution for you. Couldn't afford Shaquille O'Neal, so let me just get out of here. If your car has been totaled, don't you worry. The Sargent's gonna supply you with the perfect, passionate sports car experience. Who would want something like this? We'll supply you the Oldsmobile Alero, where you'll never have sentimental value again. Don't worry though, we'll paint it blue just for you. Don't worry, because when Mount St. Helen finally explodes, we have volcano insurance here at Sargent Insurance. We'll even insure your make-believes by putting a GT350 lip on a Maxima. It's all gonna be okay. Don't worry, we'll even insure accident forgiveness. So call today at 1-800-555-DON'T-TRUST-US and get your free copy of Kid Spot today. God, that is tight. Tight like a tiger. Here is Smurf. The verdict is in. And it's not totaled. By some miracle, it barely missed the crash bar. And today, we're gonna be tearing down all of this stuff to show you the extent of the damage underneath. As you see here, taillight's busted. This was busted. We have to fix the trunk because it doesn't close anymore. But honestly, there's a lot of work to be done, even though it's not totaled. All right, I'm with Justin. Justin here is a good buddy of mine. He's gonna help me start to tear down Smurf. And it's gonna be very simple because Mustangs are very straightforward. It's literally like in the most obvious points possible. The last time we were here though, we were installing the other grill. So that's still in here. Even during the accident, this somehow didn't get all messed up too. First things first, this metal is bent. So we're probably gonna have to somehow straighten this guy out. The trunk latch doesn't line up anymore. So we need to figure out how to fix that. But apparently we're gonna pretty much replace all of this. Side note, if there is a company that makes aftermarket taillights that are clear like this instead of red, it looks kind of cool. It looked kind of cool on Grabber Blue for sure, because I love the S550 European clear lights. I just wish we had an option for this guy. Carbon fiber, unfortunately, is not gonna stay temporarily because this takes a while to get ordered and be made. So we're gonna have to put the stock stuff right back on after doing the deck lid and that. Not too shabby, it looks pretty cool. On a lighter note, the front looks like nothing happened. These were saved. Thankfully, it wasn't the curse of the carbon fiber because these were saved. I just did these carbon fiber vents, but unfortunately, all the other carbon, totally gone. This stuff right here, though, on a lighter note, is all for the drift coupe, a long forgotten project on this channel, but I did it on purpose because it took me that long to get a lot of the stuff done. I'm still a long way to go to getting that car 100%. But it's gonna be pretty soon with all of this stuff installed. I cannot wait. Finally making some progress in the long run, if that makes sense. So to remove a rear bumper on a Mustang, it's very simple. Just there's some clips in the back and then a screw. All right, making progress. I can't believe my license plate completely survived. That is just bonkers. Make sure to visit Sargent Insurance for your license plate insurance. So Chris, what are we replacing?
This entire rear body. Yeah, I mean,
both of these?
Well, this is the original rear body. This is what is originally on the estimate to replace, but it really ends right here, but it's kind of hard to see with all this tail lamp pocket. So this tail lamp pocket, after we remove this panel, or actually once we get this separated out, this is essentially going to be floating here. We've got a nice crease in here. But we're gonna drill out these spot rivets in here, and then it actually seams right in here. So we don't have to get into the quarter panel at all. It's just basically remove some of this seam sealer, and then we're gonna replace both of these tail lamp pockets. So basically everything that you're seeing aside from the quarter panel, so from this edge, once we remove this seam sealer, there's gonna be a bunch of spot welds through here once this bracket comes off. We're replacing this tail lamp pocket. Now the panel that we have already has this panel, but it doesn't have the inner panel. So we're gonna end up replacing this inner panel as well. So basically the entire back half of the car is gonna get replaced without getting into the quarter panels.
I would like to have a side note that we already had a pre-scheduled date of bringing the drift car here, and then this happened.
Boom.
So then I call Chris and I go, "Hey, buddy."
Hi, Kevin.
I got 2 problems now. Can you please save me?
But we're gonna get it done. We got this and some other toys.
So this is what it rests on.
Yeah, so it rests, it snaps in here on the corner, and that's what will hold the corner in, and then it snaps all the way down here.
The car looks so dopey with just the exhaust hanging out of it with nothing on it. It looks so weird. The shape of the car in the factory before they put all the panels on, it's really interesting to see all this before it's all buttoned up. There it goes. Apparently these are very easy to break, right?
Yeah.
That's good. That's any push pin really though.
Yeah, these are just a weird proprietary little clip with a little tongue on it, and it's just super thin plastic.
So you can unplug it in 2 different ways. So there's one that you can unplug from the taillight itself, or you can reach in and disconnect it from here. A lot of times when you're putting sequentials in them, you replace this whole module and have like a little resistor built into here. Intercepts the signal from the factory ECU and basically changes the signal prior to getting to taillight, and that's what gives you your sequentials. 94 to 04, or 96 to 04, because they had the tri-bar taillights. They use resistors on each different lead going from inner to outer, so the signal would take longer to get to each, and that's how you get your sequential.
As you see, the third brake light was completely destroyed, but it's cool. The only aftermarket part we're actually putting on this car to replace it is this third brake light, and it's really cool, so let us show you it. Go for it. Ooh-wee, nice and clear.
It's got a nice weather strip just like the factory does. Completely plug and play, all waterproof connectors. It's made by Morimoto. You can get them through us. We're a full Morimoto dealer. And it's actually cheaper than a factory replacement at $138 for a factory tail lamp. This, believe it or not, is only 75 bucks.
And it has the seals you need, and there's not going to get moisture in there.
No, not at all. And it's got and it carries a full 5-year warranty. So prior to like writing any kind of supplement for an insurance company. So for example, they wrote an estimate. They said that it needs this panel. Now they don't have x-ray vision, so they can't see what's going on behind panels. So that's what they rely on the body shops to tear it down. So this is the tear down process. We tear down everything and we find out exactly what needs to be replaced. We already know that they wrote on the estimate to replace the entire rear body. So, but there's an inner and an outer. So because this was covered up by a trim panel, the insurance adjuster, the writer, however their company determines their name, they are going to not write this. They're gonna say, okay, we're gonna wait until it gets into the body shop. So that supplement that we already know that we're going to submit for is gonna be for this inner rear body panel. So once we get this outer section off, there's actually an inner section that also encapsulates this whole structure back here. So it's not just thin sheet metal. So once we pull this off, that's gonna leave this and this piece still left. So these are all spot welds. From the factory, it's not somebody going around with a welder. I mean, there are some spots that they do hand weld in here, but spot welds are created with what's called a resistance welder. Has a lot of amperage that runs through it. We grind it down. We'll come in here with the claw, it'll come in, it pinches it on both sides and runs resistance through there, and it essentially welds it in just that spot without having, any kind of excess there where we gotta grind down. We basically just bzz, 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 all the way down through the whole thing, but that's basically how it's gonna get welded back in.
That guy knows how to live. I said Oldsmobile Avero. That's a convertible Chrysler Sebring. That's the real replacement for the Mustang.
Once that's done, we're gonna put what's called seam sealer over top of it, and your seam sealer is this stuff right here. It's almost like caulk. It's rather hard, but that's what covers it up, and that's what bridges this gap. Now you can't see it too well because it's been painted over, but there's like brush strokes in here. So that's a really, really thin layer of seam sealer, and that just causes it so that the water doesn't, basically intrude into the car. Like we'll use a 3M seam sealer here just because that's what's specified by Ford. Everything we're gonna do here is definitely gonna be Ford OEM procedures. We're not gonna basically run amok with trying to make our own procedure. Basically here, I'll kind of just separate it because this is all getting replaced. But you could kind of see that this, without that seam seal there, even though these spot welds are here, I can't separate where the welds are. until we drill them out. But the seam sealer is what keeps those gaps tied together. Once we spot weld it all together, we get all of our measurements correct. After that, we will seam seal over top of all this to seal it, and then we will paint over it exactly like it from the factory.
The absorber looks like it doesn't do much.
Yeah, no.
But it does do a lot.
The absorber, even though it doesn't look like it did much, there's a little crack right here, and then it's crunched in and kind of compressed. It's real hard to see, but you can see the stress cracks through there. So now it collapsed. Now, will it still do its job if you put it back on? Yes, absolutely, it would still do it. However, it has already seen some kind of structural impact. Now, to kind of emphasize with the safety of this, the reason that this impact bar is not damaged or not showing any kind of deflection or any kind of damage for that matter is because of this absorber. All that energy from that truck hitting into the back of the car was transferred into this absorber, which did its job. It absorbed the energy before it transferred to the impact bar, and because it didn't transfer into the impact bar, the frame rails are both straight. The diffuser scratched there, which is in line with this. All right, so that about takes care of everything on the rear bumper, because our impact bar was fine. So we need this tail lamp pocket, which is gonna be on the rear body. So this tail lamp pocket, a lot of insurance companies do how they justify repair over replace. For example, you might see that, oh, this is dented, and obviously this is gonna be a replace with as kinked as it is. But sometimes you might see a dent, and you as the consumer, the car owner, might say, oh, well, I don't want that fixed, I want it replaced. However, the cost to repair it is going to be weighed in over replacing it, I'm sorry. What you have is called a repair break-even cost. So let's say on this deck lid, so we're gonna put an hour into trimming the new one, not into this specific one, and its break-even cost is 43.1 hours. So we could do 43.1 hours worth of labor to repair this before it makes sense to replace it. And that's because the actual cost of the deck lid itself is, you have with satellite, $1,776.60. So if you do have, if you do dent a deck lid, don't get a deck lid, buy a used one.
So in conclusion, Smurf is not totaled, but what is the main total, Chris?
Supplement, just an additional damage that was hidden damage, other stuff that needed fixed, $2,698.13. But give me 1 second, I'll get your actual total.
Oh no.
$5,204.93 for the original estimate. So that was the original damage that could be seen.
$2,698.13.
Yeah, it was essentially 29.8 more hours of labor to do it.
All right, so Smurf is getting saved. I am so happy. Chris, are you happy?
Oh, I'm definitely happy.
I'm real happy it is, because there was a moment when I was driving away, when it got hit, I was like, it's not gonna make it. No. Smurf, you're not gonna make it. But it wasn't until today we saw everything and it was all a-okay to an extent. Thank you guys for watching this video. I upload every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Huge thanks to Chris and SSR. Thank you so much. Check them out. They're great people. And I will see you guys next time. Take it easy. Goodbye.